He's going to appear to people in their homes. He's going to appear in board meetings and give you direction and give you clarity. The same way in which he went, he's going to come. Just before he comes, the appearance of the Lord is going to become so common. He's going to start appearing to his people. And we see this phenomenon taking place just before Jesus left. In the same manner in which he left, he will come again with many prior appearances. Colossians 3 verse 4 says, when Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then ye shall appear with him in glory. That's not heaven, he's talking about here on the earth. He's going to appear in us. We can begin to expect from here on out the Lord appearing. I'm not talking about visions. I'm talking about the Lord appearing in person, just like you and I, and taking over for seasons of time. He will appear to you in your homes. He'll appear to you in your churches. This period is called the Parousia. It was a lead-up. He's going to start appearing in his people before he comes for his people. And we see this phenomena taking place. And it's part of what Jesus is about to do. Now, one of the things I want to talk to you about is one of the things which Peter talked to me about. He said the seed of the martyrs in the early church is going to be reaped in this generation. Now, let me just tell you something. Seed. 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 How much seed has fallen into the ground in this nation? Seed. A number of years ago, my daughter came to me after the end of a Sunday morning service, and she came to me and she said, Dad, all the prophecy of my life has been fulfilled. He said, there's no more prophecy. I've fulfilled it all. And I thought, oh, I don't like the sound of that. But I thought, well, and she was going to another nation for a few weeks. So I thought, oh, I said to her, when you come back, I'll prophesy over you. Okay? So she said, oh, all right. And she was happy. And she said, but she had this kind of a look on her face when she said goodbye to me and hugged me. And she went off to another nation where she needed to visit some of her girlfriends who had backslidden. And so she went to this nation. And just before she left, she gave me an envelope. She said, if I'm delayed in coming home, don't open this envelope unless I'm delayed in coming home. And I thought, oh, okay. And I stuck it in my Bible. Kind of forgot about it. Well, she went to this other nation. She led her girlfriends back to the Lord, and she died in a car crash. And I thought, oh, we were devastated, you know. She was 26. And I thought, well, then I remembered this envelope. So I opened the envelope, and I read it out, and it was a complete outline of the funeral service we were to take for her. And she signed it, Andrea, and underneath, seed for the harvest. I thought, you know, how do you cope with that? Seed for the harvest. And I thought, oh Lord. So we buried her. And you don't get over those things overnight, you know. It takes time. Many times in heaven we've talked together. I've talked with her many, many, many times. She talked to me about the coming army of the Lord. She's talked to me about so many things. And then about 12 months after her death, no, longer than that. Much longer than that. Anyway, I had another interactive vision. I call them interactive visions because I don't know what else to call them. But as I knelt down to pray, and instantly I was on a horseback, on the army of the Lord. And there were thousands of young people around us. So many horses, some were walking, some were on horses, and we were marching towards this city. Thousands of young people. And we got within a few kilometers of the city, and I heard that familiar sound, you know, of automatic weapons fire. And I thought, oh, and the whole army stopped. And I looked at the Lord, and he had that kind of look, it's all right, it's all right. Now listen to me carefully. The whole lot of us stopped, this army stopped outside this Islamic city. And then I heard this, let me go. Please let me go. And then another person, a girl to my left, teenage girl, said, let me go, let me go. And another boy over here said, I will go, I want to go. And this went on. I thought, what is going on? And then the Lord pointed at this girl. She must have been about 18 and 19, and she was walking with the army. And he said, you can go. And this girl was so happy, so happy. And so she began to dance, and she walked out in front of the army, dancing, worshipping, dancing. And I thought, you can't do that. We're just about in range of weapons fire, you know. And I kept looking at the Lord, and she kept going. Then I heard that weapons fire again, automatic weapons fire, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I thought, oh no. And then everything went into slow motion. You know, it's like in those movies, everything goes into slow motion. And I saw a cluster of bullets coming towards that girl, just slowly. She was just worshiping the Lord. Closer, closer, closer. Got within about this far of that girl, and a spirit came out of her body. And the bullets hit her body, and she fell to the ground. But when that happened, a light, an incredible light, like an explosion, went right across the city. And then I was standing in the city, and scales were falling off the people's eyes in the city. I thought, Lord, what is this? He said, now you can go into the city. He said, there'll be no resistance. The scales have fallen off their eyes. They know who I am. And the entire army moved into that city. And the whole entire city was brought to Christ. But I looked, and sitting on a horse was my daughter in the army of the Lord. There were two armies marching together. In fact, there were three. There were angels, there were saints, and there were the earthly saints, all marching in the one army. But that one martyrdom brought a whole city to the Lord. And that's why these young people were saying, let me go, let me be a martyr, let me go, let me go. And they were so eager to go. I thought the devil doesn't stand a chance. Not with these kids, he doesn't stand a chance, you know. They're going to overrun the entire world. This great army of the Lord is coming forth. Seed. Now, many of you parents have lost children. Some of your children have died maybe of sickness, other in accidents or whatever, but you have lost children. And you think, why, Lord? Why? What did I do wrong? Why have I lost? Why is this? Why did this happen to me? You know, you go through that and you think, why did it happen to me? Why didn't I protect my family? Why? But children are taken, some very little, some older. And the Lord told me to talk to you about this today. God takes seed. God takes seed. And that seed falls into the ground and dies. And He takes the best seed. It falls into the ground and it dies. But it brings forth much fruit. Those kids that died in your family are now being trained for the army of the Lord, to join this army of the Lord. It was not in vain. And the Lord wants to give you some understanding of this. Seed for the harvest. Seed for the harvest. Both in the early church martyrs and now those of you in this generation who have lost children. God often takes them as seed for the harvest, and they multiply and multiply the army of this generation. Out of that one seed, thousands of young people will be swept into the kingdom of God. Out of that seed over here, thousands more will be swept into the kingdom of God. Unless a corn of wheat falls in the ground and dies, it abides alone. But if it dies, it brings forth much fruit. And this is a principle in all revivals. It's a principle in every move of God. It was a principle in the early church. The seed of the martyrs in the early church. It's coming. It's coming. The harvest is coming. That's it, on two levels. The army is marching on two levels. We're going to pray in just a moment. But today, the Lord appeared to me and said, this is how I want you to close this session. All of you parents who have lost children, from little babies down to older children, you have lost children. You need to release them and dedicate them today as seed for this coming harvest. It is not in vain. You didn't just lose them. It was a privilege for them to be a part of the seed for this harvest.